Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel, and today we will take a look at the latest released 2025 film The Black Phone 2, and it is a much awaited sequel to the released film Black Phone. I think that was released in the year 2022. So, and it is directed by Scott Derrickson. So just take a look at the film itself. So at the starting of the movie we see the character of the Gwen Shaw, and in the year of October 1982, and now she begins experiencing the vivid and very disturbing dreams of three boys, and they were just basically stalking her at the winter camp, that is the Alpine Lake, and their dreams are so intense that she wakes up with physical traces of fear that we can even see on her face, and some attributes like the sweat and scratches and heart is just pumping loud, suggesting her visions are not actually just figments of imagination, but they are linked to a very kind of a supernatural connection. And in one of the sequences in that dream, we see that Gwen receives a very mysterious call from her late mother, and a hope whose voice just warns her about the looming danger, that is hinting that the Gwen's psychic abilities might be kind of inherited. And we see this scene also actually established the stakes high for this film, and Gwen is just so Gwen is just third to the dark past of her family, and her powers could be a kind of a key for to confront the evil itself. And it also foreshadows the recurring theme of dreams, kind of acting as a gateway or a portal to know the hidden truths. And the audience is, I think, immediately drawn into a tense and suspenseful mood here, and the unsettling atmosphere of the film that just, I think, blends supernatural dread with psychological tension. Uh, very minimally and very artistically. So to determine what kind of vision she was having, the character of Gwen just convinces Finney, her protective older brother, and Erlano, the bereaved brother of one of the grabber's victim, to visit the Alpine Lake camp and to know what condition is going on, what situation is going on right now there. And Hope had worked there as a teenager, so he just better know about the place. And Gwen just suspect that camp actually might hold the answer to both the past horror and the unresolved mysteries that are just wandering around. And Finney is just initially reluctant, and he's fearing another encounter with the grabber or his supernatural remnants, as it was reminded of his past with the grabber. And but Gwen just insists, and this mounting intensity of a vision just compel him to act faster and quicker, and just he agrees to do so. And along the way the group discusses the family trauma and the condition that are they going through right now, and the past failures too. So just they are deepening the emotional layer of the narrative, and we do see audience that their emotional bonding is just top notch, and they are emotionally bonded, so the film just keeps us intact here. So the journey is physical and psychological passage, and forcing each other character of the film to just confront their personal fears and unresolved grief. And this scene builds the anticipation and establishing the narrative trajectory towards the camp where the grabber's legacy is there. And upon arrival, the group is just immediately confronted by a very fierce blizzard that isolates them and creating a very kind of claustrophobic atmosphere and tense environment. And then they later just they are joined by this camp supervisor, and his name is Armando, and his spirited niece, that is Mustang, and the employees Kenneth and Barbara. So we see at the camp there are a couple of people right now, and that was once a place of youthful recreation, and but it now feels sinister and just lossless in time and haunted with those kind of abandoned cabins and icy walkways and unsettling noises that are just echoing in the night whenever we go there. And Gwen's psychic episode just intensifies more, and showing the glimpses of past strategies that are just unfolding simultaneously with the present, because subtle visual cues we get here, such as that of the snow covered footprints appearing and disappearing suddenly out of nowhere, and heighten the suspense and suggestion that the unseen forces might be just observing them from the background. And the group growing uneasiness just mirrors the audience fear, and they are establishing Alpine Lake as both the literal and the metaphorical frozen tomb of the grabber's past crime. I think it is somehow linked to that grabber. Let us see. And on the second night, we see that Finney hears a call on the camp's dead payphone, and the voice on the line is unmistakably the one and only grabber. And now, in kind of ethereal and very malevolent and very deadly presence that is just seeking vengeance, and he just blames Finney for ending his life and torment. He just torment him, threatens him with very cryptic threats and taunts, and revealing that the death was not freed him from his murderous intentions, but the return of the grabber just introduced a very tangible supernatural threat, and now he manipulates reality itself and affecting both the dreams as well as the physical world. So it's kind of just upgraded version, and the character just realizes that their safety is an illusion, and now the loop is just started on, and the grabber's powers has expanded beyond what they were previously encountered. So I think the scene just heightened and ratchets up the tensions and make it clear that their battle is just no longer psychological, but it's confrontation with the vengeful spirit. But later we see that Gwen is just violently attacked out of nowhere in a dream by the grabber himself, and she sustains injury, and that manifests in the real world also. We see the bruises, scratches, and bleeding in some part of her body on the skin itself, and which terrify both her and the other people surrounding her. And the scene just blurs the line between the dreams and reality, because audience we get a different point of view, and the character who are seeing that and the person who is experiencing those, that is going just see, so the three perspective are line with each other. And so this, I think this just proves the direction of Scott Derrickson is very much out of the way. I think it just tried something new and very interesting here, and emphasizing I think the very high stake of the movie and the unpredictability of the grabber's reach. Then we see the Finney Mustang awaken her, and they witness firsthand the tangible effect of the supernatural assault, which strengthen their resolve to confront the threat that is just lingering there. And Gwen's abilities are portrayed as a very double-edged sword and a connection to the spiritual realm of that spiritual world that can guide them, but also a conduit of danger. So we see now that group just began to strategize, acknowledging that and understanding and kind of exploiting the grabber's pattern. And I think that may be only their way of a path to the survival. The group gathers in the camp Chapel, and in Chapel, a location that symbolizes both the sanctuary and the terror itself. Here we see the Armando shares memories of hope and the grabbers past at the camp. Then what were his activity, and what kind of person he was, or what kind of heinous crime he was doing at that time, and revealing a very web of secrets and betrayals. And they learn that uh, Grabber had a story of targeting children, especially, and some events may have gone unnoticed or covered up by adults at the camp. See the inside just revealing a very chilling and kind of a cyclical loop nature, that the Grabber's evil persists through time, and the unresolved crimes of the past just empower his supernatural presence. And we see the chapel scene is just heavy with kind of exposition and providing the audience with clarity while maintaining the suspense or the theme of the movie, and it reinforces the stakes. Locating the body of the victim is just critical to severing the grabber's power. We see at that night itself, Gwen is just pulled into a very harrowing dream confrontation with the grabber again, and this time it's more devastating and hazardous than the previous one, and it reveals the truth about the Hope's death, that it was not mere a suicide, but it was murder, and it was just staged to look that way. And the revelation just devastated Gwen and deepening the emotional stakes and intensifying her determination to defeat him. And so the sequence we see that is just surreal and visually very disorienting, filled with echoes of past screams and distorted memories. And the grabber just taunts her, insisting that he will never truly die, and Gwen realizes that facing him will require courage, intelligence, planning, and unity with the family. The confrontation also cements the supernatural rules of the universe. The grabber just draws strength from the fear of the people and unresolved trauma, and their closure can just I think weaken the grabber himself, and they don't find any another way to tackle him. So Gwen now confronts her father Terence, and accusing him of enabling past trauma through the neglect and substance abuse. We see that Terence initially just reacts very defensively, but gradually acknowledges his feeling. The confrontation is actually not only about the past mistake, but also about reclaiming agency against the grabber. And Terence arrives with the snow plow, symbolically and literally breaking through the barriers to protect his children. The emotional intensity of the scene underscores the theme, the family bonds, and when they are strengthened by understanding and courage, so they can counteract the supernatural evil that is present in front of them, that is the grabber. And it also highlights the generational trauma that they have gone through and the necessity of facing it just head on to prevent such kind of situations from repeating itself in. And now in the near ending of the film, we see the group just ventures into a frozen lake to look at the missing bodies of the boys. They are guided by the Gwen's vision that she earlier had. The icy surface and the frigid water just act as a metaphor for those buried horrors they are uncovering right now. But as Gwen falls asleep again, the grabber attacks him, and manifesting his very malevolent and kind of a demonic power through the both dreams and realities. We see that Finney and Terry just faces physical threat while the group trying to work to uncover the bodies. Each step beneath the ice just become a metaphorical excavation of trauma and past secrets. When the bodies are finally discovered, it diminishes the grabber's supernatural hold, emphasizing that the confronting truth and injustice, even decades later, can just dispel the lingering evil that is present. In a climatic confrontation, we see that Gwen and Finney just faces the grabber directly, and the spirit of his victim just assists subtly. So we see that signifying that acknowledging and honoring the past can just empower the living and can help them. And then you have to remember this to just confront and have a strategy to take on grabber. And as the grabber is pulled beneath the icy lake, his supernatural kind of charisma is just broken, symbolizing both justice and release. In the aftermath, we see that Gwen receives a call from her mother Hope via the camp payphone. We see right on this right in the movie, and then providing the emotional closure for the film and imparting the guidance of Finney. And the ending implies that the cycle of trauma can be just broken through the courage, unity, and acknowledgement of past wrongs, and always analyzing your mistake. And the final shot of the sibling just leaving the camp suggests that hope, resilience, and possibility of healing just always exist, and you have to fight the evil yourself. And I think the ending is very broader to this film, and it has many implications. First of all, I would say that trauma resolution, it's one of the implication. I think by confronting the past, we have seen the group here, so the characters break free from their fear and guilt, and they just try to tackle the problem. Then there is supernatural justice, where we see that the grabber's defeat just demonstrates that evil, even if it transcends the death, can be countered by bravery and very moral clarity of what we are doing and what need to be done in order to minimize the effects. And family unity is one of the important implication in the ending we see, because Gwen and Finney's relationship is strengthened through the shared struggle bonds, and it just embodies hope and resilience. And the matter of fact is that the film is open-ended, so you get a possibility of sequel, because supernatural just undertones hint, because as the grabber essence may persist elsewhere. So I think it's a very masterful continuation of the film. And but personally, I don't think it was needed as much. But if they have brought the sequel itself, and the story, if you see overall, it's good, it's decent. But when you compare it as a standalone film as compared to the first version, so it stand a little behind it, I guess. But if you see it as an individual film or film with a new plot or something like that, and not connecting with the previous film, so I think as a standalone film, it's very good, because it's director Scott Derrickson is just genius in this film, and he just really blends supernatural horror with the psychological tension that there we see in the movie, and the family bonding, trauma, and all those things in the film are very well captured. Even the shooting style of Scott Derrickson, because if you remember, the Scott Derrickson is that directed Sinister, and which is one of the scariest movie of all time, and one of my favorite too. And in Sinister and even in Black Phone, we see a kind of special kind of a film format in which he shoot the backstage or the memory scenes or the vivid imaginary scenes or the dream sequences. So that film format and the kind of he makes them very kind of eerie, haunted type. So I think that adds just kind of depth to the film, kind of very much what you can say, that a special theme to the movie, and it just balances the supernatural and the suspenseful scares very well. And I think it's a worthy success that has both thrills and it resonates with most of the audience, I guess. And the dreams as a narrative device that are combined with a very meticulously layered story that opens one by one and ensures the lasting impact on the audience, and keeping the terror alive along the credits roll. And I think even both the child actors were great, and they were from the film one, so it was great. and they deliver really standard performance, and you can see their emotion and you can feel the journey of the character itself. So I think the film was very good, and if you like this video, subscribe to the channel and comment down what you think about the film. Thank you.